Alright. Greetings, everyone. I got this new clamp for my cell phone. I'm using it for my actual webcam because it's broken, but everything seems to be looking pretty stable now. So I'm trying this new thing out, and I'm making a video today about something a while back. I had a suggestion for a video. This was a long time ago, actually a couple months ago. Somebody suggested that I make a video about my favorite conspiracies. So I thought I'd do another top 10 list. But first, I'll give you some that aren't really... See, I had like so many that my top 10 list is actually combining a bunch of them into different kind of categories of ones that are connected. So I'll mention like the honorable mention ones, the things I didn't put in the list. Like the JFK assassination. It's a big conspiracy, but I'm not really interested in it that much. I did like the book about the time travel book about it, but I like it more of like as a time travel plot device. I just wrote down whoever killed O.J. Simpson's wife. If O.J. Simpson didn't do it, then that would be a pretty good conspiracy, but I think we all know who did that, so it's not really a big thing. The Mandela effect isn't a conspiracy, but it's one of those things similar to conspiracies because if it was like caused by particle accelerators, then maybe it would be like people know about it and they're not telling us, so it could be a conspiracy maybe. And then I just put in a group of all of the ones that are like celebrity related. Like there's a lot of pop culture ones. Like Tupac Shakur is still alive. Elvis didn't really die. He went and lived somewhere for a long time. The Beatles never existed, or they were replaced by lookalikes. Kurt Cobain was killed by his wife, the lead singer of Hole, Courtney Love, or that he wrote one of her songs or something. There's one I just thought that was really interesting about Avril Lavigne. Like the original skater boy Avril Lavigne is different than the blonde-haired one. Looked like she was replaced by a clone because it wouldn't make sense for her to make such a drastic change. And there's one that Katy Perry is actually JonBenet Ramsey all grown up. So there's a whole bunch of celebrity ones. That's just a few. So I didn't want to list all those in my top 10 list. And there's also some that are kind of like celebrities don't age, or they're time travelers. Like there's like old pictures of people that look like Nicolas Cage, or other celebrities that people say that they maybe drink blood, or that Trump. There's this whole conspiracy about this book somebody wrote about Baron Trump, which is Trump's son, and it really like relates to a lot of real life stuff that happened or something like that. But I don't know much about it, but. So all of that stuff is really fascinating, but it doesn't make my list because it's kind of weird. So let's just start out with number 10. We'll go from like the least interesting to what I'm really more interested in, or whatever, I guess. So number 10, there's just one called the Volok Conspiracy. I didn't know what it was called until just now. And I didn't realize this was a conspiracy. I just kind of always thought this, so now it makes sense that it's a thing. Transgenders aren't born that way as a conspiracy. It's that there's like this 20% increase in people that were claiming to be transgender in the later like recent past. And somebody from Brown University made an article about it, and they kind of went after her for it. And I think it might be caused by like social media or people wanting to be like. I just watched the Flat Earth documentary. Which, let me go ahead and spoiler alert you. That's number one, Flat Earth. But you can really see with this documentary they were talking about Mark Sargent a lot, and how like being part of a group and like he's not really that interested in talking about the proof for a flat Earth or anything, or the science. He's more about the community of it and like the Flat Earth movement and like making T-shirts and like being Mark Sargent. He has all these shirts saying "I'm Mark Sargent, come and talk to me. I'm Mark Sargent," and it's just like. It's all about him being a celebrity a lot, and like if he lost the Flat Earth, like if Flat Earth was just proven, he'd be like fucked because that's like his whole identity now. And like they really showed how it kind of worked, like made him look kind of stupid. But that's kind of, I think that's why people claim to be transgender or gay. I think there's like way more gays now than there used to be, or maybe it's just because we're talking on social media and finding out about it. But maybe a lot of it is just like people are really plastic and flexible about their identity, and they just want to be special. Like everybody has this desire to have something special about them. And it's kind of like when everybody tries to be, what is it? The millennials all dress like the lumbersexuals, and they all have the top knot hair, and they all look the same because they're all trying to stand out and be different, but they're all doing that the same way. So, I don't know. That's the number 10. That whole thing. That, frickin' what's the oh man. The thing about the thing with your brain. The NPC thing. The NPC meme. Isn't that a conspiracy? Or it's not a conspiracy, but that's kind of related to it. That maybe like 80% of the population isn't really real people. Or that there's lizard people. That could be part of it, maybe. Anyway, number 10. That's done. Number 9. The anti-vax movement. Vaccines are a conspiracy by the government to give people autism. This one is funny because it was started by Jenny McCarthy, who's a Playboy model and is not a scientist or a doctor in any way. But people somehow read her book and they just went crazy with it. And now, like, I have this Facebook group I follow about people that are like into like crystal healing and that kind of stuff. They got into like urine therapy and saving their own poop and piss in their fridge, and the longer you save it, the better it's supposed to be. Or what's that thing where you water stuff down, and the more, I forgot the name of that weird science. It's like, oh sure, I don't even remember what it's called, but it's like really bad science and it's real dumb. That's number 9. Number 8. I guess this is maybe related. Chemtrails, and that they're putting fluoride in their water because I don't know why. That's part of the conspiracy that doesn't hold up. It's like, why would you do that? Why would the government try to poison us? Because we pay taxes, and if we're slaves to them, why would they want to kill all their slaves? Like, I don't understand it. And then how is like an airplane, like people believe they have like aluminum and maybe like metallic particles, magnesium maybe, or some kind of weird, maybe borax or boron or something. Like how much could a plane hold if a solid bunch of particles is like coming out the back of it? Doesn't seem like it would go very far. It'd just run out real quick. But then you see like a truckload of like dirt or hay or something on the road, and it kind of leaves a trail behind it, and it's not losing like it's a major mass. So maybe it could hold enough. I don't know. But chemtrails are just contrails. It's just like they're forming clouds when it's almost about to form a cloud. It's really obviously not anything. But I don't know. Maybe some of them linger around longer than they should, or the placement of them seems weird, or like it looks like they're putting them out in a grid. But I don't know. There's not really a lot to this theory or whatever. Like, if you follow the who would be doing it, I don't know where you come to. Like, what's the end goal? This one's a little similar. Number 7 is the Windsor Hum. I may have made a video about this a long time ago. And it's also related to the HAARP thing, which is part of the chemtrails thing, the HAARP. It's a big like array of antennas that they think controls the weather, and they think that's causing this effect called the Windsor Hum, or that it could be like underground bases or underground mining or digging or making like bunkers for the elite to go to if there's an emergency and the world ends. But there's this island. What was it called? It's not Jekyll Island. It's something similar to that. It's over in Windsor, Ontario, which is right off of Detroit, I think. So, like, on this island, that seems to be where this sound is coming from. There's some kind of a steel mill or some kind of a factory there. This is not very well researched video, by the way. I'm just going off memory. But nobody knows where the sound's coming from. It's like making people freak out because it's like tinnitus. Like you keep hearing this hum sound and you can't explain it, or you can't tell where it's coming from. It's making people mad. That's a really interesting one I got into a while back. Number 6 is that there are crisis actors that show up in all these big shooting events like Newtown, Sandy Hook, and the same people were at the Boston bombing, and then the Parkland guy was one of them, maybe, because he was like from California. I mean, that one really didn't pan out very far. David Hogg, I think his name was. But the ones from Sandy Hook, like, I've always been a believer in Sandy Hook being a conspiracy. Nobody actually died. And I'm not ashamed of it, because when this all happened, there was this website somebody linked to. It's kind of like a chamber of commerce or something for the town of Newtown, Connecticut. And somebody pointed out that if you look at the people who lived there that supposedly went to this school where their kids were killed, all of their houses were sold for $1 on Christmas the year before. And I looked it up, and it was true. Now, this could be some kind of weird clerical error or something, or where, like, if nobody had data, they would just make it show up as $1 on Christmas. But why would that work that way? That don't make no sense. And then there are pictures of the people, like the kids that were killed, and they're sitting with Obama and taking pictures with him, like, after this happened. So what the fuck? How does that happen? And why is this guy, like, laughing about his kids being killed, and then he, like, puts on this actor face before an interview? It seemed real sketchy to me. If y'all ever looked any of that stuff up, check it out. And then you got the same woman showing up at the Boston bombing that was a crisis actor in Newtown. And then, like, the guy whose leg was blown off supposedly already had his leg blown off before. And, the whole thing with the Kraft International guys with the Punisher hats were actually the guys that did the Boston bombing, and not the two guys from Kazakhstan, or wherever they're from. So that's all really interesting stuff. That's like, now we're getting into stuff that I'm actually interested in. That was number 6. Crisis actors. And number 5, the Denver International Airport conspiracy. They think it was built by the Freemasons, and it sits on top of an underground city of elites or something, or the Freemasons have a city down under there, and there's like this big horse statue out front with a red demon glowing eyes. And this one's really cool because you can look up the paintings on the wall at the Denver International Airport, and they're all like really weird, like babies being killed with a sword kind of stuff, and like really like cryptic, symbolic kind of things. And like interestingly enough, there's this place in Kazakhstan, again with Kazakhstan, called Astana. If you never looked that up, there's this big tall obelisk building with this like thing that you put your hands on or some kind of a thing. And that was supposedly all built by Freemasons too. And this like town of Astana, like in 1989 or 90s, it was just farmland. There was nothing there. And then like overnight, almost like 2 or 3 years, it turned into this big, it's like New York City all of a sudden. And there was this weird, like, I think there's road patterns, kind of like in Washington, D.C., like there's an owl in the Library of Congress. There's similar kind of things in Kazakhstan. Why? I don't know. I don't know how it relates to the Freemasons and the Denver International Airport. They all seem to kind of be related to each other, and there's like similar things at both places. I talked to a friend of mine who is a Freemason, and he thought it was really interesting too. Like, they don't tell the lower level guys all the stuff, but like, that's a good reason to become a Freemason if you want to like try to figure out their secrets. But Astana, Kazakhstan, look up that shit. That's crazy. Number 4, Pizzagate, and also the Jeffrey Epstein suicide, because I think it may be related, and also all the Clinton kill count, the Clinton kill count. Yeah. So there's a theory that the upper echelon elite government, people in power, that they all like fucking kids. And this was a thing back in Rome. People liked, remember in the movie 300, they called those the Xerxes people like boy lovers or whatever. Maybe that's because they figured out some secret that we don't know about. Like, maybe it's really good. I don't know. But the elites, their regular normal sex isn't good enough for people that have billions of dollars. They gotta have the creme de la creme. And I've talked about this with my friends, and if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. What is like a major money-making thing lately? Not lately, but like in the past 10, 20 years. Penis enlargement. So everybody wants to have bigger dicks. And everybody becoming gay lately too. What do those two things have in common? Well, gay men don't have vaginas, they have buttholes. And what is it about buttholes that's different from vaginas? They're smaller. If you can't make your dick bigger, finding a smaller hole seems to be the other option. So maybe the elites like fucking kids because it's better. It's a smaller hole. That's what I'm going with. But the theory is that underneath this pizza store, Cosmic Pizza, or I don't remember the name of it, there's all these symbols that means pedophiles or something. It's like a Dorito or a triangle, and there's words like hot dog means boy and pizza means girl, and there's all these emails that go back and forth between these elites. I don't know. The Clintons apparently were doing it, and one guy like took this really seriously, and he went and like shot some people in this pizza restaurant because he thought there was like kids in the basement. But the best part is like there's these paintings from like these kids look like they all have red shoes on in a Subway somewhere, like not a Subway restaurant, but like blue tiles, and like it's related to this woman that knows the Clintons that's supposedly a witch, and she drinks blood, and she's been living forever, and she's the one who does all that weird art stuff with her. Like she'll have people come sit in front of her, just look at her, or she'll sell her pee or something. What the heck is her name? But she's like crazy. I think she might actually be an immortal or something, or some kind of actual witch. But then you got Epstein. He has this island with a temple that is painted in the Israeli flag colors, and then he's supposedly... See, everybody was talking about like he had these injuries that were consistent with being strangled, but if you hung yourself with blankets, that would be the same kind of injuries, right? So obviously he didn't kill himself. He was murdered by the Clintons because he was taking these people like Bill Clinton on his plane to have pedophile sex on his island. And that was related to Pizzagate because they're the ones it was actually real, maybe. So if Epstein didn't kill himself, Pizzagate was real, elites are fucking kids, and that's all just blown up. And it should be true now. I think this is pretty much confirmed, right? So that's number 4. That's pretty crazy. Number 3. This may be actually number 2, but number 3 is Antarctica. What about Antarctica? Well, I mean, this kind of relates to the flat earth, hollow earth stuff too. But if I did a video about this a while back, I think, because if you go to this site, oh, my brain's starting to hurt now. I'm thinking of too much stuff at once. What's it called? It's the site for the Fitbits. Heat map. The Strava heat map. So Fitbits keep track of everywhere you go if you wear a Fitbit. And it shows a track of a little red line. And the more people that go along this track, the brighter it gets. It's a heat map. So people were finding all these underground bases in the middle of Iraq and Afghanistan. And interesting enough, in Area 51, there's like no heat maps at all. So either they're not allowed to have those or they're blocking them out somehow. But if you look at Antarctica, there's also like this weird circle. And if you go to this one mountain, there's like this weird trapezoidal pattern. So there's an underground base in Antarctica. Confirmed by Strava heat maps and Fitbit technology. It's there. I don't know what it is, but it's something. And Nazis, supposedly according to, was it the Hollow Earth people or the Flat Earth people? I saw a video about some Nazis that went to Antarctica. That's why we had to start this whole North Atlantic Treaty, I think it's called, the NATO organization. No. What am I talking about? There's some kind of treaty where you can't fly over Antarctica, and every country that wants to be a country has to sign on to this thing. So, like, the Nazis went down there, and they were doing some tests and exploring around and shit. And suppose this Admiral Byrd guy went to Antarctica, and he found these hot springs that they have video of them, like, swimming around in Antarctica because it's hot there. And then if you keep going, you find, like, a bunch of mountains with coal in them. And he said there's enough coal there to fuel the whole world for, like, 30 years or something. So, Antarctica... Oh, and also that the Nazis, after Hitler killed himself, supposedly, all of these Nazis went to Argentina. And if you go talk to people in Argentina now, maybe like southern Brazil too, there are people that have all this Nazi memorabilia, and they have names that are like German names and stuff, that their families were Nazis. So, Nazis are like, maybe some of them dispersed to a secret base in Antarctica, and some of them went to Argentina. But there's a lot of crazy shit with Antarctica. But I'll get to that in a minute. Number 2 is the Oak Island treasure. What the fuck is it? Is it William Shakespeare's writings? Is it the King Solomon's menorah? Or is it something like the Books of Alexandria, maybe, when it burned down? Is it the Holy Grail? Is it the Ark of the Covenant? Is it a bunch of pirate treasure? It's crazy. I mean, it could be anything. If you've been watching the show, I mean, supposedly there's a big ship. It's been buried in between the two island drumlins. And there's also the money pit, and you've also got this chapel vault in 10X, and you got this weird thing over there that they found lately at the docks that keeps, they're rewriting history because of it now. Like, nobody knows what the heck happened there. But obviously something did, because as much work as we're doing with machineries, they did it by hand back then. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, oh man, should all those like Pumapunku and all those other weird places be conspiracies because they were like buried? Those civilizations that predate humans, or what we thought earliest human civilizations were. Because that kind of seems like that could be a conspiracy too. But anyway, Oak Island's nuts. That's number 2. Number 1, I have combined all of the biggest. The flat earth theory, the hollow earth theory, the moon landings being fake. Because if the earth is flat, then obviously the people that supposedly went to the moon didn't actually go to the moon. So they know about the flat earth theory. Or the earth being flat. So, obviously the earth's not flat because it's crazy. I just watched a documentary. It showed it was all about these guys. You go, and a lot of the earth, like in the documentary, they were proving like the 15-degree tilt. They used like this laser gyroscope, and they were wrong. But they won't admit that they're wrong because they have to keep saying that the earth's flat. So they just kind of keep going with it. And at the end, the show ends with them doing like a laser test over like 3 miles, and they show that there's curvature because they can't see this light. And the guy holds it up and like, oh, now we can see the light because you held your thing up higher. So, pretty much disproved it. But I really like the hollow earth theory even better because I don't think it's real, but it gives this whole thing about cave goblins in Kentucky. Mammoth Cave being part of an entrance into Agartha. It makes it all sound really cool. Like there could be some shit we don't know about. Like that's what I've always hated about growing up on Earth. Is that this is already a 23-minute long video. Holy shit! There's nothing left to explore. All the frontiers have been frontiered, and everything's been discovered. I do think it's odd that you find yourself on a planet with weird things like the Bermuda Triangle and the pyramids and everything's like a bunch of mysteries. Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, stuff that you don't know, like aliens, if any of it's real or not. But there's nothing left to explore other than like other planets in space, if there is such a thing. But going down into the oceans is pretty much unexplored. Going into the Earth, if the Earth was hollow and there's civilizations in there, is unexplored. But the thing about flat Earth is that some of the really crazy theories are that the moon is a reflection of the actual Earth, and the craters are different, what we would call Earths. Like our flat plane is one crater, and then there's other continents and civilizations that are just outside. If you go over the ice wall at the South Pole, and you keep going, it's like a wasteland for a while, and you'll run into like, it'll drop back off, and there'll be another big hole, circular area with maybe another 5 continents with different races of people, and they're all flying planes and pretending to go into space. Like, who knows? There could be all kinds of stuff to explore out there. We just haven't gone over the ice wall. So that's pretty cool. What was the really interesting thing about the moon landing being fake? Oh man, there's something to that. Some of it is like, it relates to like aliens or the Nikola Tesla Black Knight satellite. Or, man, I can't remember. But like putting the transparency over the window and the Van Allen radiation belts and all that stuff being faked. I mean, man, if I'm going with the Earth being round, do I suddenly believe in the moon landings being real? Because the moon landings really seem to be fake. if you look at the videos, I mean, nothing about it makes it seem legit at all. Even like the size of the Earth in the sky, and like people like walking on wires, and the people at like the space station with the crazy hair, and it looks like their shirts are being pulled up by wires that they're hanging on. I mean, a lot of that stuff really doesn't seem legit. But I don't know. It's one of the best conspiracy theories, is all of that stuff kind of combined. Maybe we'll go into more detail about flat Earth, because I really want to get like an orange and show you like the different ways it could be flat. Because it could be like half an orange, it could be like a chip off of an orange, it could be like most of the orange is gone, but you're like, it could be an infinite plane. I mean, obviously it's not, but there's little different ways I hate when people always talk about the flat Earth when they say like you're gonna fall off the edge of it. Like, you've not even looked into this at all, have you? So yeah, there's a lot of like scientific people say dumb shit, and then the flat Earth people say dumb shit. Neither one of them really like get a good grasp of it. But that's my top 10 list. If you guys got any better ones that you think I should have included, let me know. All right, at 26 minutes. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.